To all the men showing up, even when life feels heavy. To the men carrying pressure no one sees. To the men trying to provide, lead and hold it all together. To the men who are tired, stressed, disconnected, or quietly struggling behind the scenes. This is your reminder. You are not alone. You don't need to have all the answers, to wait until you hit breaking point, and you don't need to carry everything in silence. This Men's Health Week, we're opening up honest conversations about what it really means to be a man in today's world, with this one simple message. Men don't need more information, they need better spaces to talk. This series is hosted on the Upside podcast, powered by the Happiness Co Foundation and supported by Business News. The views shared by our guests are their own and may not always reflect the views of the Happiness Co Foundation. But what they do is to help create the conversations we believe more men need access to. Welcome to the Men's Health Project series.
Alrighty, so welcome to the Happiness Co Foundation Leadership Conversations from the Heart as part of our Men's Health Project 2026 and proudly sponsored by our social impact partner Business News. Shout out to them. Thank you guys. This series has been created to explore the human sides of leadership, beyond titles, beyond success, and beyond the polished version we often show the world. These conversations we're creating space for honesty, vulnerability, resilience, reflection, and connection. Someone's tapping in there. They know a building maestro's in the house. Because leadership isn't simply about influence or achievement. It's about humanity. It's about how we show up for ourselves, for our families, our workplaces, and of course our communities. Across this series, we'll hear from leaders, advocates, clinicians, educators, business professionals, and community voices willing to speak openly about mental health, wellbeing, adversity, purpose, kindness, and what it truly means to lead from the heart. Our hope is simple. These conversations help people feel less alone, more understood, and more willing to reach out, speak up, and support one another before the crisis point. I'm your host, Maurice Mo-Sauzier, and today I'm grateful to be joined by someone whose journey reflects resilience, reinvention, and a commitment to helping others build both financial independence and personal confidence. Neil Gibb. I'll say that again. Neil Gibb is the co-founder of the HMO Property Co, a respected property investment and education business. Through his work, Neil has helped countless individuals transition into property, built sustainable income streams, and created greater freedom in their lives. What stands out most, however, is not just his business success, but his openness about the realities behind the journey, the risks, the pressure, the lessons learnt, and the personal growth required along the way. Neil brings a grounded, real-world perspective on leadership, responsibility, and what it takes to keep moving forward when things aren't easy. Neil, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, Mo. Goosebumps listening to that there, mate.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, really. Sometimes when you hear them intros, you think, is he talking about me there?
Yeah, we can definitely explore a bit of that as well because, different ages and stages in our professional being, we do go through reflection times, and that is definitely one of the leadership traits, that you take time out of the day to reflect, okay, on how the day went, and the lessons that you learned, you shared, etc., etc. But before we dive into the leadership and mental health, I'd love to begin simple and and personally. How are you generally at this point in your life?
Right now, today?
Right now, today.
Wow, okay. Right now, there's challenges that are going on in my life, Mo, and you know about them. I won't dig into them specifically on this episode because some of them are quite private. But this is the life that we signed up for, right? If you want to be a business owner, you want to be a leader, it's definitely not easy. There's definitely challenges on a daily basis. And your kind of gift for solving the problems is another problem generally a bigger problem with more complexities added to that problem as well, right? So as your business grows, the complexity grows, the problems grow, but the rewards grow as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. I'm not sat here frustrated with where I'm at. There's just some challenges right now that we're up against, and we'll get through them. But this is, I believe, surrounding yourself with the right people and having these open conversations with the people that you hold close to you, family, and some very few select friends that I put in that circle. And I'm very fortunate that I've got some really good people around me to lean on when times get tough, and I'll also be there for them too.
Albeit that it's not in the question brief,
Yeah.
but I know the other half of the business itself is one hell of an incredibly strong, powerful, amazing woman,
Yep.
Jo, and Jo's been on one of our podcasts previously for International Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come to be? Where just give us a bit of the high end, how you found each other and how you thought, this is going to be the person in my life.
Yeah, me and Jo have been together for nearly 22 years now. I met her when she was 18. I was 21, and I met her at a party after a nightclub, and I was wearing a Superman T-shirt.
Of course.
What man in 21-year-old wears a Superman T-shirt? But she obviously seen something in me, which I'm very fortunate of. But I had to chase her for a little bit. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I could imagine, mate. She's an absolute angel. And Superman T-shirt at age 21. Hey, come on, the child inside.
Yeah.
You got to keep that going.
Yeah.
Hey.
It was her 40th birthday party not too long ago, and I told that story then, and I actually said that she should have been the one wearing it because, like you said there, she's incredible. She's stepped into this kind of feminine energy that she feels really comfortable in, and she's like leading with her heart at the minute, and she's doing some incredible things. She's making some incredible connections and partnerships, which is just helping us grow the business. So
I love that, the partnership piece, grow the business, okay, and underpinning that, the energy, the vibe I've just got from you is that you're not threatened by it.
Not at all. Again, we've got really good people around us. We went to a seminar not too long ago. It was like before we had kids, right? And Freddie's 3.5 now. So we went to a seminar 5 years ago. With two of our mentors who have become good friends, Brett and Marie Jones, and they always talk about 2 is more powerful than 1.
Absolutely.
And when we went to that seminar, we thought we were just looking for little 1%ers because we thought we were in a good place, and having mentors like them around you helps you see the blind spots. And we didn't get a 1% increase, we got a 200% increase because we ended up with 2 children out of it as well. But it's also helped us understand how we communicate better at work and in the relationship, and also carve out time so that we're spending quality time together outside of the business and outside of the kids as well. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for coaches and mentors and having the right people around you to guide you.
Super important, especially when you're working with your partner.
Yeah.
To have that separation time, your own personal time to recharge, recoup, reflect, etc. But then also that 1 + 1 = 3, which is what you've alluded to.
Yeah.
My question around being threatened or feeling threatened, again, culturally, men do feel threatened, especially with powerful women, and being able to position themselves accordingly. And what I'm hearing from you, again, is that 1 + 1 = 3, which is fantastic. And, fantastic that there are amazing women in our lives.
100%. We'd be lost without them. And
all gender specific and all and sundry, but correct.
Yeah. I've got some incredible women in my life as well. My team is probably 75-80% women as well.
Right.
Got some incredibly powerful women in that team, very headstrong, very driven. I don't know how we've ended up with this kind of balance of more women than men, but I feel like it's working really well, and they all bring different dynamics and energy to my life as well. But seeing Jo step into the person that she is now after having 2 children and coming back into the business, and the role that she was in before she had the kids, we put that under management, and we've got a general manager in there now, and she came back in specifically wanting to do more things around partnerships and impact and purposefulness. And she started speaking on stages now as well, which is incredible because for a long time the marketing for the business has been on my shoulders, and sometimes it can be a lot. someone bursts in your room, we need a podcast this week, we need this marketing, we need this, we need this. You've got to drop everything and come up with it on the spot. But now sharing that sort of marketing piece with her and seeing her stand on stage at the International Ladies' Day and just knock out that speech like she'd been speaking on stage for years, right? I had tears in my eyes when I sat in the crowd. I was very proud.
We all do, because again, she's a very special lady to us and to the foundation, and to your point of the social impact that she's creating. So we'll dive into a couple of the questions. Thanks for that.
Have we not started the questions yet?
Thanks for the heartfelt there, Lane. Absolutely. Many people associate leadership with position or status. But from your experience, what does authentic leadership actually look and feel like?
Myself and Joe put a lot into this over the years. We say that we don't call our team our staff. We call them our team because we believe we are a team driven towards the mission of the business, which is to deliver 10,000 rooms to the market within 10 years. And we're on target. Where if we get 25 sales a month moving forward till December, we're on target, so we're heading in the right direction. But we also say that nobody works for us, they work with us. And we're just the people at the top of the tree, I suppose. We're the people that solve the biggest problems. But everybody in the seats around us, they've all got very specific roles where their skill sets are, where their strengths lie as well. So there's a lot of people in this business that do jobs that I couldn't do or wouldn't like to do, but they thrive in them roles because that suits their personalities, right? Yeah.
So providing the space for them to thrive.
Yeah. And
which is what you're stating.
Yeah.
And also stepping out of the space, acknowledging that, no, that isn't the space that you should occupy. But as a small business operator, then growing as you guys have, you've been able to open up that space and enable others to step into it.
Yeah. I used to listen to this guy years ago called Rob Moore, who had a podcast called The Disruptive Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And his podcast in the early days really helped me as a business owner go from a one-man band to, probably like 5 to 10 people in the team. And he used to say, hire experienced people, give them a little bit too much to do and get out of the way and let them do it. And I think I've been really good at doing that over the years because we brought in I look around that team now, and in the early days we used to hire a lot of young, inexperienced, kind of cheaper labour because that's all we could really attract because we didn't have an established business or brand. But now I look around that team and we've got some incredible people in there, and sometimes I pinch myself and I think, how have we managed to build the team that we've got? But they're all very passionate, very driven people that are all they just love the product that we deliver, and they're all loving the fact that they've all got autonomy to improve it in any way, shape or form that they can.
Yeah. We'll dive into that product because it is such an amazing product, and HMO actually stands for what it is. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of context to that. And there's a couple of other questions down the potty which sort of addresses the current scenarios around building and the need for accommodation, entry levels for young people, and also others that are struggling.
Yep.
So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of context to HMO, and and I think that will then resonate further with the rest of the potty.
Yeah. So every day I feel really fortunate that we get to work with property investors, business owners and professionals to help them build cash flow positive property portfolios. They not only deliver positive cash flow to the investor, but they also provide clean, safe, affordable housing for people of Perth. And we do that in the term of what the trending name now is co-living. But when we first started, it was HMO, which stands for House and Multiple Occupancy, which is a policy from the UK that the UK government brought in because there was a housing affordability issue and there was lots of big houses with empty bedrooms. So the government said, if you convert these houses into room-by-room rentals and put specific safety standards in them, we'll give you a license and you can rent them out room by room. And it became a very popular way for people to invest in the UK. So we started the HMO Property Co. back in the day to, first of all, started our own property portfolio. Then we set up a property management business to manage our own portfolio of properties because no property manager would manage them as we wanted them managing. So it was a very specific way that we wanted them setting up. And then once we had the property management business set up, people then started bringing us their vacant properties, because this was like 2017, 2018 in Perth, where the vacancy rate was 7%.
Yep.
Vacant properties everywhere. We were converting properties from standard 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom properties into 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom properties, and we were renting them out in 3 weeks for 3 times what you could rent a normal house for in the same street.
Understanding the history, okay, and in particular the history from the UK, the policies, etc., and that was absolutely amplified because of the population increase, comparatively. But why here? Why Perth? And what was it about that whole notion construct that you thought, there's a need, but we can make a business out of this, because that's true entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
And leading from, the heart stepping into the discomfort.
Yep. We first got into real estate because when I first came to this country, I was an electrician. I got pulled into fly in, fly out, and I spent 2 or 3 weeks away at a time, away from the country that I'd fought so hard to get into. And then Joe moved over, so I came before Joe, then she moved over, and then once she was here, it changed the dynamic completely, because I believe fly in, fly out suits a single man. But once you got a wife and kids, it's a very challenging space to be in, and you guys will know all about it, right, with the work you do in them spaces. So one day Joe was dropping me off at the airport. She started crying, and I didn't realise at the time how much it was affecting her, me leaving her on her own while I was away. I was just thinking, I'm going away and the money come back, we have some good times, and then I go back away again. It was just this kind of dynamic that I thought was working, but it wasn't.
Single cell male thinking,
Yeah.
in a way. Okay.
Yeah.
We've
Get
got
the
a
money,
task,
bring it home.
purpose, bring it in.
Yeah.
That's, again, stereotypical, but
Yeah.
so dynamically different now,
Yeah.
which we're hearing.
And now understanding what women want and need and stuff, and again, learning that through my coaches and mentors.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there was always something in my mind about real estate. Back in the UK, as an electrician, I was rewiring houses, I was renovating houses for property investors, but no one really showed me how to commercialise it to a way that you can buy it for this, you can add value through this and sell it for this, and this is your profit. And one day someone took me to a seminar, and a guy stood on stage and he started talking about gross yields, net yields, no money down deals, all these different strategies which I'd never heard of, and it was just like someone had opened a door into a totally different world, and I stepped in, and that was me. I just became a seminar junkie and kept learning these different strategies, but every seminar that we went to and signed up to, we implemented the strategies from it, we made money, and we used that money to go into the next seminar. And we learned how to renovate and flip properties, we did about 5 or 6 of them. We learned about small residential developments. We started doing 1 into 2 subdivisions. We did a 5-unit development. And we then found someone that was teaching us about cash flow positive properties and setting HMOs up compliantly with the right fire safety upgrades in them. So we're putting the tenant safety first and the cash flow second, which really resonated with me being in the oil and gas industry, because it's very, very health and safety regulated.
Absolutely.
So the initial desire was greedily to replace our own income and get ourselves into that position. But when you think about the oxygen mask theory, you can't help anybody else until you help yourself first. So we helped ourselves. And then people started asking us for help when they seen the success that we'd had with our own portfolio. And that's kind of how it scaled, really. It was kind of accidental to a degree. And with the power of social media, we were setting these houses up, and I was doing video walkthroughs just to show other people what we were doing. And what I didn't realise at the time is that we were starting to build a bit of a personal brand. People were starting to position us as the HMO people in Perth. And it wasn't too long before we started doing like 5 deals a year, then it was like 25 deals a year, and then it was, biggest year we've probably done, we've built over 250 properties now. We've converted over 98 properties into HMOs, so we're close to delivering over 400 properties to the market now, which will be about 2,400 rooms.
They're big numbers. I'm going to put it into person care centric.
Yep.
So how many people are you looking after through those properties?
We've probably, when they're all finished, we'll have over 2,000 tenants renting rooms from us. And so far, I think we've housed close to 3,000 people in clean, safe, affordable housing. And it's affordable because the way we set the rooms up, they've got obviously a double bed, ensuite, kitchenette, so they've got a kettle, toaster, microwave. kind of like if you think of the Quest apartments or little micro apartments we call them.
Apartment,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So from the street, it looks like a normal house. You walk in, and it's got a kitchen, dining, and living like a normal house. But you walk in the bedroom, and you're like,
This is it.
now I understand why you get
This
the
is your
rents that
safe
you do.
space. This is your sanctuary.
Yeah.
And for individuals who have been struggling, and we know that a large percentage of residents have come from domestic violence environments or loss of house income, etc., or separations, some significant life impacts. So to provide that sanctuary for them, is absolutely leading from the heart.
Yeah.
So commercial, there is that, but then the whole notion of the why is absolutely speaks volumes. So thanks for sharing that. There's so much more to that story in itself. That's a whole other podcast in itself.
There is. But going back to the partnership thing with my wife and I, right? So I've always been very commercially driven in terms of making sure the numbers work for ourselves and the investors. But Joe's always had the final touch to make sure that it looks and feels like a beautiful space to live and thrive in as well. So the combination works well.
And having recently been to one of your properties,
yes,
I'd heard so much about it.
We didn't get a chance to speak either, did we?
That's all good. You were a man on a mission at the time, and very popular. And it was amazing to be in the space, and how, talking of design and furnished, etc., how welcoming and soft that was. Okay, but super powerful.
Beautiful, aren't they?
Someone would equate that skill, again, stereotypically to women, but just stepping into that and feeling that level of support, comfort, and connectivity, knowing that, again, through your property management and your property managers look after the people in these properties. So it's not just a lease space that you're getting revenue from, but you're actually creating this community as well, and supporting those individuals. As I said, there's a really big story around that, which...
I can talk about this all day, right? Because I'm very passionate about it, and we've done so much, but
And this is it, there are set questions here, to unpack some of that authentic leadership piece, but at each point there are lessons that you're learning. Okay, there are people that you're meeting, the people that you're impacting, and all people that are impacting you, which is super powerful.
100%.
You've mentioned mentors and learning through that whole life journey, and stepping into that space where you may not necessarily have all the answers, but you've got the people around you to support
100%.
you. So again, that whole notion of community and connectivity, which is, again, underpinning the Happiness Co and the foundation, what we do.
Yep.
So behind every capable leader is often pressure, responsibilities, and unseen struggle. What have you personally learned about carrying pressure while still trying to remain emotionally present and connected?
It's a very prevalent question with what's going on now, right? And like you said earlier, there's some challenges that we're going through personally and professionally. But every day, you've kind of just got to turn up with your game face on. You got to put the stuff behind you that you can't really control. You can sit there and freak out about everything with what can potentially go wrong or is potentially going wrong. But when you take a step back and kind of look at where we are and where we're heading, and the team that we've got, the runs that we've got on the board, the pipeline of work that we've got coming on as well, we can sometimes focus on some of the things that aren't as important, or we can focus on the negatives instead of the positives, right?
Absolutely.
But sometimes it is challenging more. Like you say, you've got to turn up with a smile on your face, because if the team feel like your energy's off and they feel like you're struggling with something, they can start feeling concerned as well. And I need everybody in that team to just be on point every day. And not everybody can be. Obviously, they've all got personal things going on themselves, and Joe and I are very understanding about that. When people have got sick kids or things going on in their lives as well, we're very supportive around that, as they are with us too. But it's definitely not a straightforward answer to that question, is it?
That's okay. We'll address it from another perspective as well, given that. But showing up, being consistent in your behaviour is so critical. As a leader, 100%. And that game face, or in some parlays, it's referred to as a mask. Especially men. We mask up, and women do as well. But we mask up, and that's who we are on that day. As long as we can take that mask off. that it's not on 24/7.
Yeah.
You know.
And that comes back to the surround yourself with the right people, right?
100%.
So
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for a daily routine, and if I get a good night's sleep and I get up at 5 in the morning, the wife and kids get up at 7, so I've got 2 hours where I can train in the gym, or I can go for a walk and go for a sauna. And if I get them 2 hours to myself and I push myself, whether it's a walk and listen to a podcast or I'm in the gym, that gives me the best chance of stepping into the day on a positive, right? Because I've already got some hard stuff out the way, and then you're kind of ready to tackle the day, right? So we were talking about it last night in text messages when you said you were going to go for a swim. I think moving the body on a morning and getting yourself thinking and pushing yourself to a degree, I think it's a great way to start the day and set yourself on the right foot.
And when we talk about mental health and well-being, the link between physical activity and stepping out of that comfort zone and getting into discomfort, the reality of going down to the beach, at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, and going to that water. It's exhilarating. It's an exhilarating feeling, and I love the idea that you've carved out 2 hours of the day. By the way, we've all got the same 24 hours a day. What do you do with that? And as part of that, the time out. Some would go, right, I'm going to just sit and chill, all right, and think through what I need to achieve during the day, or again, reflection upon the day before. And others will actually use physical activity to allow the physical being to show up, but then also the mental well-being to also partner with that. We know about, or we hear about mind-body connection. That's really where it's happening.
Yeah.
It's super powerful.
Yeah, it's moving the body, 100%. I mean, I generally aim to get 10,000 steps in a day, or if I don't get them in one day, I try and get more in the next day. So target 70,000 a week. And when I'm on them walks, the clarity that you can get because you're moving and you're thinking and you're not distracted. I've built sales scripts, I've done marketing campaigns, I've thought about how I'm going to change the team around, and I've solved some of my biggest problems on them walks in the morning. So it's like you say there, it's critical that you get that time to think. Yeah. I think what's the guy that started Microsoft, Bill Gates? Yeah. He takes weeks out, doesn't he, to think. If I get 2 hours a day, that'll do me.
and this is important. Landing this is so important because again, as you get more and more involved in your business, and you've got more and more people involved in and other stakeholders and shareholders, etc., it becomes a bigger beast. So being true to that, and daily practice, great mate of ours often says, choose your hard. We all have hard, but choose the hard that you want to, explore. And some of them, our mates are currently, climbing up to base camp in Everest. And we were talking about that this morning. We've got a bit of Mo FOMO, and
we'll be there next.
Neil FOMO as well there.
We'll be there next year, mate.
Hey, we'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
So some of our greatest lessons come through challenges, loss, and adversity. We've just sort of spoken about to a certain extent. Was there a defining moment or difficult season that fundamentally changed the way you lead or live? You've shared part of that, but is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah. The biggest mental shift for me. So growing up in the UK, my father had a disease called Huntington's disease, and it's a chronological disease, and literally at birth you've either got the defective gene or you don't, so it's like 50-50 heads or tails, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, my dad had it, and a lot of people in his side of the family had it as well, and I grew up with my sister with that in the back of the mind that we could both have it, and because of that, I'd seen my dad really suffer at a young age. He passed away at 41, 49 he passed away at. Yeah. But he went into a nursing home at like 35. Wow. So I seen him go from a fit, healthy bloke into bedridden, fed through a peg in his stomach, couldn't talk, couldn't communicate. And it really put a perspective on life for me, which is why I've ended up in this beautiful country and had a good crack at it. A year after I moved to the country, my mum rang me up and she said, your sister's got Huntington's disease, and she's been in full-time care ever since. She's been on end-of-life treatment for 2 years. And this is one of the reasons that Joe and I had kids so late, because I didn't want to have children and see Joe struggle the way that my mum struggles with seeing my sister in the condition that she's in. So going back to our good friends, Brett and Marie Jones, we were having some conversations with them, and they started asking us about why we didn't have kids, and I told them the story. And Brett did some research, and he found something that was called pre-implantation IVF, where essentially they test the embryo for any of my dad's genes, not the defective one, just my dad's genes. And if they had my dad's genes in it, then they disregard the embryo, and we work on the healthy one. So I thought, oh, we'll explore that. Sounds interesting. And part of that, we had to go see a psychiatrist that dealt in Huntington's specialist. And we went to see him, and the guy was like, why do you want to get tested? So we told him. And he said to me, just stand up a second. So I stood up, and he walked over to me, and he pushed me on the shoulder. I'm kind of, what's he doing? And he says, I've been around this disease for 25 years now. And he says, there's a lot of things that you're showing which would make me confident that you don't have the defective gene in your body. And I was like, why is that? And he said, well, generally when it comes through the male, it accelerates, which is why your sister's got it so young. Yep. And he goes, and now you're 30, I think it was 39 at the time. He said, you're 39, you've got a muscular frame, you look athletic. He goes, you're the total opposite of what you should look like if you've got this defective gene. Yep. Your speech is good, apart from this accent. And
we won't go there.
Yeah, he said to me, I'm not saying you definitely don't have it, but instead of 50-50, I'm saying it's more like 95-5. And he said, so you can go through the pre-implantation IVF thing. It's a couple of $100,000 to do so. It's not guaranteed to work. Or you can get tested and try naturally. So again, spoke to the people in my circle. Some of them going on my morning walks as well, having some really deep conversations about what to do, what if it comes back positive, what if it comes back negative. And we made the decision to get tested instead of going down the IVF route. And they tested us, and they said it'll take 3 months max. And it took 3 months to the date, to the point where Joe rang them up one morning and said, what's happening with these results? We haven't got them. They said, we've literally just got them delivered this morning. We jumped on a Zoom call with them, and they opened the envelope. I feel emotional thinking about this.
Cool, man.
And yeah, came back negative. And Joe fell pregnant that weekend. Yeah, so that was the kind of defining moment. Which changed everything.
Absolutely.
2 kids later, clear headspace. Yeah, I feel very fortunate.
Thank you for sharing. That's such a beautiful story, man. From a number of perspectives, and again, when we talk broadly about men and men's health, you know, and you mentioned 3 months passed, and Joe made the call. You know, there's so much to that. Again, the strength of partnership, the strength of you know, individuals like you know, like your wife in your relationship, and also sort of taking that responsibility, realizing that, you know, the certain level of burden is sitting on your shoulders, you know, and understanding that, and then the what if, to your point, you know, and us blokes, we don't often go and look after ourselves, you know, physically, mentally, generally, insofar as our general health, until we get to a point where stuff isn't happening. So the whole notion of preemptive, preventative, you know, going out and getting that assessment, the gene, you know, the gene marker, etc., very clearly defining at that point, what is my life, our life, going to be going forward.
Could have went totally wrong as well, right? If it came back negative, then
the flip side of that, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? But the point of that is that you actually chose your hard. Once again, you stepped into, you got the assessment, you went through that whole diagnostic process, which again, men and our general health, you know, we don't take enough care, and in this situation, etc. Specifically, you stepped up, you had the assessment, defining moment, and then boom, the rest is...
Yeah, like I said,
It's
two
an amazing,
beautiful children.
amazing story.
Yeah.
And, really appreciate, you sharing that with us. And
Yeah, I think we've been together 15, 16 years.
yeah,
And he fell pregnant that weekend. It was
brings you so much closer.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
The notion of potential illness,
Yeah.
or well-being shift, is something that you don't and shouldn't carry by yourself. And again, this is demonstrative of how important those relationships are that you have and the people that you have around you. So thank you so much for sharing. In a world that's increasingly busy and digitally connected, many people still feel deeply isolated. Why do you think genuine human connection matters so much to mental well-being?
Yeah, I think as human beings, we are built for connection and community, aren't we? We feel so much better when we've got friendship around us, when we've got connection around us. I mean, you just have to look back during the COVID period when we all felt so isolated, and it was a big kind of spotlight on social isolation and people's mental well-being. I think we were very fortunate in Western Australia that we were. Yeah, we
Incredible.
We were very fortunate. Unfortunately, not everybody else was, and being from the UK as well, that we were in constant communication back to the UK about what they were going through. Yeah. So yeah, it's. I mean, that just proves alone, right? Why we need it. But thinking back to our business model as well, we've got 26% of households across Australia are single or lone person households. And we're in the middle of a housing crisis, right? We've got something like 15 million bedrooms empty around the country, and people are feeling lonely and isolated. So the business model that we've created, we've got 5 or 6 rentable rooms inside a house. We've got the common area, which we always keep. I've seen people take that common area out, but we need somewhere to socialise and connect with other people. So we keep that there. They've got the option to come out and communicate and connect with other people, but they've also got privacy if they want their own lockable room as well. And again, just coming back to, it's one of my favourite phrases, proximity is power. Just being around the right people, can change your mood in seconds, right? You can just, if you see someone you haven't seen for a long time, they've got a big smile on their face, it just instantly lifts you, right?
Yeah, it does.
And Jules talks about being around the right people, and they make you stand a little bit taller and feel a bit better about yourself.
Yeah,
I've got
your posture and so forth.
I've got lots of them people in my life, and I'm very fortunate for that.
And that's, again, super, super powerful. And to know that you can lean in to them. And again, conversations that I have with Jules in around leaning in, but also leaning in, but not to the point where you fall over. In other words, at a certain stage, you've got to take accountability, responsibility of yourself.
Yep.
Okay, you can lean in on someone, and their support, etc. But at the end of the day, it's you understanding the value of yourself and what can be achieved, and then that connection piece. Also giving it back, and you guys give it back in spades. And so the whole philosophy, social impact philosophy around HMO and co-living, collective is that point of connection.
Yep.
And I also like the idea, as you've just espoused, that you've also got your private space, because being connected and being in people with people 24/7 can be pretty demanding as well.
Yeah, it can be, especially if you're an introvert, right?
Well, correct. The flip side of that, the negativity, the positivity. Being around positive people all around is great, but that can also be really struggling for individuals who are introverted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How would you see yourself, introverted or extroverted? And there's a scale, of course.
Yeah, I think I'm more introverted nowadays. Before I was a business owner, I used to love being around other people and chatting and connecting, and I used to get energized from that. But I think because I'm around that all the time now, and a lot of people look for me for answers, I love to be with Joe and the kids, and that's my kind of recharge space. Yeah. It sounds weird, I just like being at home, watching a movie and just having some nice food with them, and just,
Doesn't sound weird at all, my friend.
It's just the simple things in life, right?
Yep.
And everybody recharges differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no right or wrong, but that's my kind of happy space.
Yeah, and again, important that everyone has a choice, and there are different options, etc., etc. It's not just the one option. This is it. And again, it's reflected in your, in the HMO space. Being able to be connected with community in that space, or alternatively just in your own space. So culture of care. You've led or influenced people in different environments and communities. What do psychologically safe and generally caring cultures have in common? And where do many workplaces still get it wrong?
Before I got into business myself, I was fortunate enough to work for some of the biggest companies on the planet, being Woodside, Chevron, ExxonMobil. So got to be part of companies at that scale, and also they put a lot of emphasis on leadership and culture. And obviously, there's times when you just feel like a number, but they try their best to instill the right qualities into the people that work for them. And I think I'm a better leader working for some of them companies, or I've definitely took things from them companies and instilled them into the business. But then I've also had business coaches and mentors as well, which have helped me with the way that we maintain the culture and build the culture within the business as well. So one of the big things we do is we make sure everybody feels heard within the business, and we do that by, we've got our big, hairy, audacious goal, 10,000 rooms in 10 years. And every year, at the start of the year, we have what's called our annual planning day. And every 90 days, we have a 90-day sprint, which we take the team out of the office. We generally hire a seminar room in a hotel. We just did one in the new Ernst & Young building there, and Jules came along and did a chat for us. And we go through the 10-year plan, we go through the 1-year plan, we go through the 90-year sprint plan, and then we get feedback from the team on what's working and what's not. And because they're in the trenches, they're doing the work, we want feedback from them and what we can do as leaders to help them thrive in their roles and be the best people that they can be. So it's not us standing up there telling them what we want them to do. We're saying, what are the challenges that you're seeing? And what do you need from us to make sure that we can overcome these challenges and be more efficient and more effective as a company? And then we build it out from there.
So underpinning that is, again, people first culture, listen, being present and understanding, and a platform where your people can actually find their voice, which is great. But the flip side of that, which is so important, this is what research is indicating now in leadership, is the listening piece. Okay, and with that listening piece, in particular, blending all of that, and yet still being true to the big audacious goal, because ultimately the business is heading towards that. And there are going to be bumps in the road where maybe some of those conversations that are had are difficult ones. You are listening, get influence, but a decision needs to be made. And that's, again, the whole culture that you're building there is solid around that notion of care. Thank you for that. This goes back to you. One of the themes we often discuss is that self-first isn't selfish. Okay, and I like to throw that out now, and it's part of the conversations we have, just changing the context around selfish, self-first. And you've shared some of this, so maybe you want to land specifically on something, but how have you learned to better protect your own well-being while continuing to support others?
I think it goes back to the oxygen mask theory, doesn't it?
Yep.
And you cannot fill from an empty cup. So a lot of people want to help everybody else, but you can't do that if you're not fulfilled yourself, right? And again, this is why I kind of give myself that 2 hours every morning, because when I don't feel as energized, I don't feel as productive, I don't feel as aligned. I feel like I've cheated myself to a certain degree because I haven't given myself that time that I need. And for the people around me, they need me at my best. And I was listening to a reel on Instagram with a guy called Dan Martell, who wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. I've only just found him recently, and I really enjoy his content. And one of the things he was saying, he was like, if you like going snowboarding in Japan, and he goes, and you can go there in a weekend, like go on a Thursday, come back on a Monday. And he goes, and you're a better person and a better leader for your team because you've done that thing, then do it. Because if you don't do it and you stay in the business and you just become arsey and short with people because you're tired and burnt out, then you're doing your team a disservice by not putting yourself first and being selfishly unselfish or unselfishly selfish. Either way around.
Look, 100%. So the notion you've tapped into it. Giving yourself the time, the space around you to do stuff that you actually enjoy doing, and that can be right across the board. The physical activity piece, the connecting piece, or just the recharging your own batteries.
And I enjoy, like I say, I enjoy my walks and I enjoy the gym, but I also like time away from work as well. So every 90 days, Joe and I take a break. If it's like the kind of March, April time, it'll be a short weekend away, digital detox, no phone.
Right.
Same around October, November time.
Right.
And then in the middle of the year, we generally try and take a 3 to 4 week holiday with the kids. And then around Christmas time as well, because the building industry kind of quietens down from December back up to February, then we generally take 3 or 4 weeks off there as well. So,
what I'm hearing there in particular, and it's a great advice for business owners and entrepreneurs, that you can still have your massive, audacious, hairy goal, and be work focused, etc., and achieving and bringing your team along that journey, but you also are setting up the non-negotiables. And the non-negotiables of self with Joe, with your partner, but also with your kids. Okay. A lot of men historically have distanced themselves purely by
work.
By work. Correct. And albeit you mentioned FIFO previously, and or individuals who measure their own success on the number of days, the number of dollars, the amount of busyness that they're involved in. It comes out of their mouth. I'm busy. It's like, okay. To then, what I'm alluding to here is that you've actually set times in your calendar of work to actually invest in and be with. And that's super powerful.
We do that at the start of the year. So Joe and I always set our own goals before we set the business goals. So at the start of the year, we call it the rocks, the pebbles, and the sand. The story about if you put the rocks in first, and if you put the sand in first, you can't get your rocks in. So my rocks are time with the family. So we always put when are we going on holiday? We don't necessarily need to know where we're going, but we just need to know we're taking some time off there, we're taking some time off there, we're taking some time off there. And there's flexibility in that time as well. Then we start putting in the pebbles, which is the work stuff. So we put the most important stuff in first, work comes second, and then we leave the rest of the diary open for the sand, which is the kind of the shit, should I say, like the
filler.
The fire, the putting out fires and all that type of stuff, the little meetings, podcasts like this sort of stuff. So it's family life first, work second, and then we leave it open for all the rest.
A bit of space to expand yourself, to extend yourself, to explore different things. That again, if you're that rigid, opportunity when it comes knocking on your door, you might necessarily step through it into that opportunity because you're rigid. And that also is what you're speaking to. But I love the notion that you family first, yourself family first, and the where to and why secondary. That's the time you're devoting to. It's a massive lesson, I think, for men listening to this podcast.
And it gives you something to drive towards as well, knowing that you've just got 3 months of hard work, then you're going to have a break and you can enjoy yourself. But it also makes Jo understand that she's the most important thing in my life, because I sit there and I plan the year out with her before I think about anything else. And I think as a female, she wants to know that she's the most important thing in my life, and she definitely is. So.
Love that. Okay, entrepreneurship, risk and identity. So property investing often looks exciting from the outside, but it comes with real risks and uncertainty. I'm sure you've got many a story and many a podcast to share with us here. How has navigating financial risk and business pressures shaped your identity, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a person?
I think as I progressed more through my investor journey and business owner journey, I've become more risk averse. I think when I had nothing, I was always chasing the kind of silver bullet, and I was, in the next crypto trend. I was putting money into this, money into that, expecting to become a millionaire overnight, but wealth takes time to build. And when you start to build it, you also become more afraid of losing it as well. So as I've built wealth and built a property portfolio, my business has started going and my shares are going well, I'm also very cautious that I don't want to lose that, because it's took me 10 years to become an overnight success, right?
Yeah, go figure. Yeah.
So yeah, in the early days, I was raising capital from joint venture partners, doing this, doing that, 5 or 6 projects on the go at one time. And I had one project that went wrong, and it cost me over $200,000 in a loss. But I had another project running next to it, which made up for that loss that I made on that project. So everything that I did wrong on that project, I did the opposite in the next project.
Awesome.
And I offset that loss. And it was a lesson. It was an expensive lesson, but it was a lesson that I needed to learn at that stage of my career, because it changed the way I looked at property development and investing in general.
But interesting also that the learning piece, but that by investing in that learning piece, that you didn't replicate it, and the loss wasn't double-fold.
Yeah.
Okay, which it could have been.
Yeah.
Some blokes we just keep
Yeah.
persisting with, and the school of hard knocks or the lessons learned might necessarily sit because ego sits in front of that. Okay, but at a certain point in that journey, you stopped and you thought through it and you went, okay, there was a defining moment.
Yeah. But I've seen people make losses on property deals and then step out of property because they've said it's not for them.
Yep.
All right, everyone makes it look too easy and blah, blah,
It's too
blah.
hard.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
the best lessons are in the biggest mistakes, right? And
Absolutely.
I learned a lot from that. And like I say, I went to the next deal and offset the loss. It was a 24-month period that I had to carry that loss, and,
And the scars associated with it, my friend.
Yeah. But it's made me a better investor and a better property developer in the long run. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go out there and lose money like I did, but you can definitely learn from other people's mistakes and stand on the shoulders of giants, like they say.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Just in regards to that, and knowing that you and Joe being together for that period of time, was this really early days in your entrepreneurial journey where you didn't have to worry about Joe to the same extent, and the kids and the family and the staff, etc. So you as an individual man at the time, insofar as risk taking, being an entrepreneur, okay, there were factors there that you didn't necessarily have to consider, or you didn't consider, to the same level that you are.
We'd done like 4 or 5 renovations and made some good money from them, and the kind of natural progression from somebody that gets into property is reno flips, a 1 into 2 subdivision, and then they might do like a 3-unit development and then scale it from there. We did 5 renovations, and then I went straight to a 5-unit development, which was
big steps,
big game change, like totally different to what I was used to, totally out of my comfort zone, making it up as I was going along, and that's where the loss came from, because I just held the project too long, because I made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake.
Were you leaning in? You spoke about mentors, etc., which is again really important. Different stages of your professional being. Did you listen to mentors and that at the time, or did you just think, no, I'm just going to keep going again?
I did.
Is my ego driving this?
I did listen to them, and there was definitely ego in there as well, because I was watching on Facebook, and I was seeing other people having success in other areas, and because I was running out of time on the deal to settle on it, I put numbers in there that other people were talking about on social media, not numbers that I was pulling from people in Perth. And that kind of started, that's where the deal went wrong. And then we totally rehashed the project, went through a totally different route and developed some totally different outcomes. And the outcome itself was good, because I'm proud of what we ended up building. But again, it was just one of them expensive mistakes, right? That I look back on, and we drive past it every now and again. And I'm glad I did it, because it's helped me define me and taught me a lot of lessons as well.
From your experience, how do you balance the pursuit of freedom while protecting your mental health and staying grounded in what truly matters?
I think if we go back to the rocks, pebbles, and sand analogy, Domi, it's
you keep referencing that.
Yeah, make sure that we've got stuff in the diary, we've got stuff to look forward to. We enjoy the fruits of our labour, and we experience everything that life has to offer. Right, there's so many places to see and so many cultures to experience, different foods to taste, different wines to drink, and me and Joe definitely experience them things, and we're fortunate that we're in a position that we can fly around the world and stay in nice hotels and stuff like that, and experience these things.
Which is awesome, okay, and we're hearing that the success that's being built, but obviously there are times, and has been times, where that wasn't the case. So the same philosophy applied. It's just wealth has enabled you to experience so much more.
Yeah, I'm just as happy when we're talking about the 90-day breaks when we have like a little weekend away. There's these log cabins in Western Australia. I can't remember the name of them exactly, but they've got 10 of these things scattered around the country, right? And they're totally off-grid. They run on solar power. They've got a disposable toilet there as well that someone comes and empties. Totally off-grid. And we went there with little Freddie when he was just born. And, there's sheep running around outside. There's horses running around outside. Staying in beautiful hotels is one thing, but being in nature, 2 hours away from where we live as well. It was just on our doorstep, short drive, stayed there for 2 nights. Came back from there feeling more recharged than I ever came back.
Super recharged.
Totally different. So, like you say there, the niceties of these things is good and being able to do them, but you can also recharge and reset so much easier. You can even just go to the beach, like you said. I used to do that quite a bit with one of my friends, Andy, and unfortunately we don't do it as much as what we used to, but every Sunday we were religious that we used to go down there, 30-minute chat, see how each other's going. We used to do some breath work, jump in the ocean, go grab a coffee,
recharge,
and just ready for the week.
I use the analogy, and there are two analogies, and we're using them with some of the workshops that we're delivering for one of our major partner clients. The notion of recharging the battery. So again, from your cup, filling your cup, etc. But recharging the battery for us blokes, if the battery's down at 10, you're not going to be able to spark much. Okay, whatever that spark is. Yeah. And that could be to your, to investing in yourself. Being intimate with your partner, being connected and, present with your kids, let alone your business, etc., etc. So, finding time, creating time, setting goals around that. And the other is, for those listeners who may still be driving gear shifts, or column drives, I referred to the other day and had some people looking at me, what the hell's a column shift? Anyhow, the gear shift. You can't be in fifth gear all the time. No. You can't be in overdrive. And conversely, you can't be in neutral all the time. Being 2 or 3, that's cool, okay, because you can amp up and you can amp down. So that whole notion, what's the message for men listening in today? All right, we'll close out with this, my friend. So if a man's listening today and is silently struggling, feeling disconnected and overwhelmed, or uncertain about asking for help, what would you want him to hear from your heart?
We go back to the notion of proximity as power, right? Just find people that make you stand that little bit taller, find people that will actually listen to where you're at and not judge where you're at as well. But talking about the battery that you mentioned there, there's a guy that I did some work with called Tommy Bellman, and he talks about the battery and looks at the different quadrants of it. And when it's flat, that's when you need to take the time out and go out and recharge the battery. And he said, generally when you come back from them breaks, he calls it joffing, which is just on effing fire. I won't swear because I don't know the
that's cool.
the audience. But when you joff it, like, there's times since I've heard that notion from Tommy, there's times when I've just been like, I'm on fire at the minute. Everything's just flowing. Everything's going well. I'm sleeping well. I'm training well. I'm eating well. Nothing feels like it's challenging me, but I feel like I'm getting through a lot. And going to now, I feel like my battery's a little depleted. The only way that we can get through this, right, is by recharging, recouping, connecting with yourself again. I'm going over to America for the World Cup on June the 10th, so that's my little break that I'm pushing towards at the minute. So I know I've got another 3 weeks of kind of hijacker in front of me, and then I can get over there and relax, watch a game that I absolutely love, which is football. And but I'll also have the ability to do some work while I'm over there as well, because of the life that we've got, right? We've got laptops now which you can connect from all over the world, run Zoom calls and stuff like that. So I think going back to your question, just reach out to somebody, ask for help, whether it's the guys at the Happiness Corps, whether there's lots of organisations out there now, and I think with the work that you guys are doing, there's a lot more talk around the struggle and asking for help, and it's not a sign of weakness asking for help, it's actually a sign of strength.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. And just again, the notion, when people say just reach out, knowing that when men are struggling and challenged with their struggle, not just struggling, but challenged with that, and it could be as a result of loss, or the unknown around your physical well-being, as you tapped into so authentically. The notion of reaching out can be really challenging. So can I add to that? How about you flip it by going, hey, take today to reconnect with someone that you haven't connected with. Okay? Pick up the phone. Don't message. Pick up the phone and ring them.
Yep. Hit them for a coffee.
100%. Make the time today to reconnect with someone that you've not connected with. Don't know where the relationship with your mate that you go down the beach with, or used to go down the beach, and you mentioned that you don't do. That to me again resonated. But by the way, also you can't keep doing that without recharging the battery. So if you're struggling, men, know that there are also men like Neil and the crew at Happiness Co and Foundation. If you don't know how to connect with us, there are obviously websites, etc. But feel that or should I say, know that there are people that can support. But if your cup is full and your battery is recharged at the present moment, you've got, you're thinking, I need to reconnect with XY.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward, absolutely. So, last reflection. Our fearless leader, Jules, who's climbing his mountain at the moment, literally, Mount Everest to base camp, he talks about legacy. So when people remember your leadership one day, what do you hope they remember? Not about what you've achieved, but about how you've made people feel.
I really hope that the people in the team now look back at this as like a really great point of their lives. Like, work was good, the impact that they were having was good because of what we were delivering. This isn't just some form of money grab. We very rarely talk about money within the business. We're always talking about the impact that we're having, whether that's the rooms that we're delivering or the investors that we're helping or the tenants that we've housed. So yeah, I just want people to look back and just go, I can really enjoy that stage of my life working with Neil and Joe, and the things that we delivered and the outcomes that we created. And that's the kind of legacy I'd like to leave.
You guys are doing it. Actually, legacy is what you live now. And you guys are living it in spades.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So, thank you for joining us for this episode of Leadership Conversations from the Heart. A sincere thank you to our guest, Neil, for your honesty, your wisdom, and willingness to share your story so openly. These conversations matter because they remind us that leadership is not about perfection, it's about connection. It's about creating safer spaces for people to speak, to feel seen, and to know that they don't have to carry life alone. If today's conversation resonates with you, we encourage you to continue the discussion with someone you trust, a mate, a colleague, a family member, or a professional support service. Together, through conversations, kindness, advocacy, and community, we can create a stronger culture of wellbeing and support for men across Australia. This podcast forms part of our Happiness Co Foundation Men's Health Project 2026. I'm Mo Sorzia. Thank you for listening, thank you for caring, and thank you for being part of the conversation. From our heart to yours, take care.